Hope everybody's enjoying their lunch. It was great that the Corona Chamber allowed me to come in and kind of teach a class on marketing. It's beneficial now because we're moving into a new age where everybody's on their cell phones or on the computer. So moving into digital marketing or just learning what it is about. We're not going to deep dive too far into it, but just kind of get the basics so you can see if it's the best fit for your company. All right. So I'm with Alpha 7. I'm the founder CEO. We started back, I think, 2018. We service clients all across the United States. Specifically, my niche is for service-based companies, law enforcement, military. I kind of have a previous background helping those types of businesses and helping them grow. So we'll just go through a little bit about me and my company, and then we'll jump right into the core stuff. So somebody grab the lights for me real quick. Thanks, Robert. Awesome. So we put this video together kind of specifically for the company and to kind of show you guys today, which we'll go over later on a little bit more about the content creation. But those were just like just a small glimpse of some of the companies that we've got to work with. Like I said, from apparel companies to service-based companies, we've done real estate. We do a little bit of everything. So our slogan is, we help people find you. As I'm sure all of you know, marketing is most industries are so saturated. Marketing and having marketing is key. So we have resources and knowledge to kind of help you guys out with that. And that's kind of why we're here today, kind of to teach you guys, or at least give you information that you need to start digital marketing if you aren't already. Like I said, this is kind of a brief overview of us again. Started in 2018, working with a bunch of clients throughout the United States. I went over that. What we do specifically, everything that we do is digital. We don't do a ton of in-person stuff or, shaking. I mean, we still shake hands. I'm gonna shake a couple hands in here today, but we aren't doing a ton of trade shows. I know that's still huge for some industries, but everything we're doing is social media based, whether it be through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. We do Google, Yelp, web design. We also do local search, which is still connected to Google, SEO, which we'll touch on here shortly. Video content creation, consulting, and audits. I just recently did an audit for a company that we took over for. I don't know if there's a trend that went on like back in 2020 during COVID. Everybody wanted to learn about digital marketing, but fortunately the client went through a horrible experience with the company. So another portion of this class is also to give you tools and information you need when maybe looking into digital marketing companies. Kind of information that is incorrect, or if you've had a bad experience in the past, which we'll touch on in a second. But here's just a few of the clients that we've got to work with. We work and do some paid advertisement for the chamber here, a couple of apparel companies here locally. As you can see, there's some, I don't know if you can tell, but like Lead Devil, Gunfighter Trading Co., Wood Slingers, Side Action, those are all law enforcement, military-owned businesses. We do some service-based industries. I've got some automotive shops and tire companies. medical spas, landscape. I mean, we do, like I said, we work with a little bit of everyone. So some of our highlighted clients, Side Action Apparel is probably one of our biggest kind of, highlights that we want to touch on. Is I took over for them doing marketing back in 2022. I think it was around this time in 2022 when I took over. We scaled their Instagram following and engagement from 22,000 followers to about 115,000. We've increased sales. I think on average they were doing about $200 to $300 a day in sales. We're doing about close to 10,000 a day in sales now. Of course, there's other expenses like marketing costs and overhead, but still there's probably 5 to 6 or 7 times return. We provide content creation services with them on a weekly basis. We did a redesign for them on their website. Leather Machine Co., they're like the leader in leather trade machinery. We've helped them grow on Instagram as well, increase sales through Meta and through Google Ads. And then Gunfighter Trading Co., they came to us specifically for a Meta campaign, which we've helped increase their sales as well. I kind of went over the workshop objectives, just, the goals here to teach you guys about digital marketing. I don't know if any of you guys have any previous digital marketing experience. I don't know if you guys want to raise your hand. Do you guys, any of you have digital marketing experience at all? A little bit? Anything on Meta or Google that you've done? No? A little bit?
Learning as I go.
Awesome. So it's good because we can kind of just hit the ground running, and I don't want to overwhelm you guys. So if there's any time you guys have questions or don't fully understand something that I'm going over, please just raise your hand. Ask the question while we're going through it. It may branch off into something else for a minute, but we have an hour and a half of time, so I think we should be good. Common concerns. I always touch on this because as a business owner myself, doing marketing for companies across the country, two of the biggest things that we see is either companies have had a horrible experience in the past with a company, or business owners, whether you are the business owner yourself or you're working for a business owner, they're ultimately the one making the decision if you're going to be doing digital marketing. Sometimes it can be rather difficult to get them to finally go through with it, especially if they're part of an older generation that's not used to digital marketing. So hopefully some of this education that you get today will clear up a past that you may have had, or maybe give you the information you need to say, hey, look boss, like let's move forward with this. I got some information. I know enough to interview some companies, or let's try it in-house for a little bit, whatever it may be. All right, does that sound good? So website setup, we'll kind of start from the bare minimum. A website is a marketing asset. By the show of hands, do most of you guys have a current website now? Yeah. By show of hands, how many are using WordPress? Okay, what about like Wix? However many people don't know.
Use Squarespace.
Squarespace, okay, similar. It still should be like a WordPress platform.
It's like Wix.
Like Wix, okay. So just kind of to touch on the website stuff, just to get it going. Obviously, there's the purchase of a domain, which is your www. Mine would be alpha7marketing.com. So you need to be able to purchase that in order to connect it to your website. Second is deciding what platform is best for you as a business. It's analyzing your goals, not just for that day or that week or that month. It's long term. So if you know that, hey, look, I'm going to be marketing later down the road, there may be a better platform that may be best for your business. I'm a huge fan of WordPress. I've worked in Wix. I've worked in Squarespace. I'm not huge fans of them, only because the customizability for me I don't feel is there like it is with WordPress. But if you're a service-based company, I would strongly recommend going with WordPress. Do we have any e-com brands or retailers in here? Or are we all kind of service-based? What do you do?
Commercial janitorial supply sales.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. So for you specifically, I'd probably recommend like Shopify if you have goals. We'll go over it. But service-based, I like WordPress. E-com retailers, I like Shopify. And we'll get into a little bit more about why here in a couple slides. So after you select your platform, you're going to want to look at a hosting service, whether it be like GoDaddy, hosting or WP Engine. This is where your site's going to be hosted that you will link your domain to. In some cases, you can purchase your domain on the hosting site, and it'll connect automatically, so you don't have to go through a bunch of trouble with connecting DNS records, which is technical term for making sure that your domain connects to your website. It's fairly simple. Selecting a theme and installing helpful plugins. We'll go through some of those, some of my recommendations for each platform. So WordPress, it is mobile friendly. Like I said, it is great for service-based businesses. You can do a ton of customization, whether it be with themes or plugins. The SEO portion is huge with service-based industries, so we'll touch on that as well. There's some helpful plugins. You guys all have a sheet here with a lot of the information. If for some reason I missed something or it's not on the PowerPoint, feel free to write it down, of course, or my card's on the table if you guys have questions later on or forget something. But helpful plugins for WordPress, Rank Math SEO, Yoast SEO. Those are great tools when doing SEO on WordPress specifically. Yoast also has what's called a duplicate post, which we'll go over a little bit later. It's duplicating pages for SEO. And then Elementor, WP Bakery. Those are two specific plugins for building websites. So Elementor is an easy tool if you don't have a bunch of experience building websites. You can go in there and make easy changes, corrections, build super easy. They have preset templates that you can throw in there if you don't want to get in super in depth on changing sizing and wording and all that fun stuff. It's also great for later on when we're talking about Google Ads, conversion tracking. It's much easier to set up that with WordPress with the different forms that they have. Shopify, I know it only kind of caters to one guy in here, but it's great for retail businesses. It's obviously mobile, SEO friendly still. There's still plugins that you can install to help with SEO on Shopify. I just don't feel myself that it's as in depth with SEO as it would be on a WordPress platform. But the one reason I do like Shopify for e-com businesses is because depending on the products you're selling, the integration with Facebook and Instagram is huge. The data that we're collecting with Shopify connected through Meta is huge. All that data can be used to retarget or create lookalike audiences, which we'll kind of go in a little bit further here later on. But other helpful apps when working with retailers, I'm going to talk kind of to you specifically. The big thing with any business is to increase sales, increase your conversion percentage. So there's apps out there like Frequently Bought With, Judge Me, Upsell. All of these items that are, or all of these apps that you can install to your platform will help people, encourage them to buy more items when they're on the site. So they're already there. If you can get them to buy like an extra, $5 bottle of whatever, I mean, there's a ton of apps out there that kind of help with that conversion rate. So SEO, I know we had a couple questions about this earlier. This is always fun because I get a lot of mixed answers about SEO, and so we'll kind of go through SEO and then the apps that go along with it. So as some of you may or may not know, SEO is essentially just optimizing your content on your website so that you can be found on a search engine or found higher, ranked higher on a search engine. It's best for service and retail businesses. You can do, it for both. Like I said, most of you in here are service-based industry, so it's gonna work extremely well for you guys. There's a ton of things that you can do to help increase business. And like I said, we'll keep going through this. So one of the questions on there is how do you know what keywords or phrases to use? Essentially, when you're doing SEO on your website, you're having to come up with different keywords and phrases that searchers are searching on Google. So if you can use different resources like Google Trends, or if you just have industry knowledge, kind of an idea of what people are searching for, you can cater your content on your page to specifically target that. So there's a ton of tools out there. I kind of briefly touched on them earlier, or a couple slides ago. You've got Yoast, Rank Math, SEMrush. I think I'm just gonna move forward to this slide real quick, just so you can kind of get an idea of what SEO looks like on a WordPress platform. So this is specifically Yoast. So what this is telling us is it's the tool, the plugin that was installed specifically to tell you how you're ranking, your content is ranking on that page and what's optimized. So, and there's a ton of things that is included in SEO on a page. We've got your on-page SEO, which includes your heading tags, your meta description, your alt tags on pictures, page title, slug, written content. So here you can see that we have our slug down here. You want this to match your page title as well as your SEO title. So everything you want linked together. So when Google comes through and index your site, it's basically like a bunch of little robots going through saying like, hey, what is this website about? So having everything that is coded correctly, the H1 tags, the slugs, the SEO titles, same with written content throughout. So if you have written content on that page, you want to make sure that you are including that keyword or phrase enough throughout the page, so Google understands, okay, hey, we see this word so much throughout this page, it's obviously what it's about. And then it'll tell you. So if there's a bunch of green bubbles there, this is like 100% optimized. There's going to be times if you do install this plugin onto your site that not all these are going to be green. They're going to be orange or red, and you're going to have to go through that page and make changes accordingly. So if like you don't have a H1 heading correct, when you go into the website builder and edit that page, you can click on that big titled text and it'll say H1, H2, H3, and so on. So you, and once you save those changes, you can come back into this tool and it'll update and show you kind of what is optimized and what is not optimized. And you can go back through and make changes, like I said, accordingly. Same with Rank Math. This is just another tool that you can use. I actually prefer Rank Math over Yoast. I just feel that they go a little bit more in depth on your SEO. They require a little bit more things. This is, you can see the overall optimization score is not very high. This is just kind of a picture that I pulled off of Google. This is not our work, I promise you. This is, you can go through here again and see that there's errors. I didn't get a clipping of it, but it was for text optimization errors. So there's certain types of wording and phrases that you also want to use in there. That you'll get more points for. Google likes it when you're not very like aggressive with certain things. So, but it'll lay everything out for you in this tool. Let me go back here. So we kind of briefly touched on the on-page SEO. There's also off-page SEO, which would include your domain authority or backlinks. In order for your SEO score and your ranking to get higher, you want to have other credible websites that are linking to your website. So like if, let's say, you're a member here with the chamber, they put your website information on their website and they have a great domain authority because they have a ton of information on there. That helps your domain authority, linking that link from their website to yours. So if you can get signed up with different chambers, if you can get signed up and have news articles and different information, you guys are nonprofit. If you guys have companies that you work with that may create an article or something that links their website to yours, your domain authority is going to go up. What that means is Google's going to give you a higher ranking in that organic search because they feel that you're more relevant than somebody else. They see, oh, hey, there's all these websites that are linking to this one, it must be relevant.
So we have a community toolbox where we put links to all of our affiliates' websites. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, you can include as many as you, I mean, realistically you would want to do it like on a blog post or something that has information on it.
Okay, so include it into content.
Yeah, include it into content. It's just when Google indexes that page and then they link it to yours and they give that domain authority score to you, it's gonna be more credible knowing that it's with content rather than just like a static, web address being in a random place. So. Written content, each page needs to be unique. I'm going to touch on this a little bit more when we go over landing page SEO. So we'll move on to blogs here. Blogs are great too for SEO. Google loves businesses that are educating, so the more often that you're posting blogs and with relevant information to your business, Google loves. They see that you're posting frequently. It also cues what's called an index, which I kind of touched on, where Google goes through your website and crawls and reads content and gives you a ranking. So every time you post a blog, Google re-indexes your website, and it could give you a higher score if you have new or interesting content. So any questions? I know I kind of briefly, kind of quickly ran through this. I know it can be confusing, especially if you're not sitting in front of your website specifically looking at this. Is there any questions about SEO or these tools, anything at all? Do we, for the most part, understand SEO? Yeah, good. So SEO continued. This is primarily for WordPress platforms. I know a few of you said that you were, or that you are currently working on WordPress. If you currently have a website that is done, but it's not SEO optimized, you want to go into this area where it says reading. It's under settings, go under reading, and then there's a very important box here that says search engine visibility, discourage search engines from indexing this site. So if you haven't done SEO yet on your site, or you have a brand new site, you want to leave this checked because you don't want Google going through and indexing and ranking you poorly because you're not ready. If you have done SEO, if you are ready to be indexed, your website is done, make sure that you go in there. This is one setting that a lot of my clients miss because it discourages Google from coming through and indexing and ranking your site organically, and that's huge. Any questions? Has anybody ever seen this on their WordPress platform before?
And there's companies out there that are trying to say that they are going to optimize your SEO and they wanna charge you to do that.
Yeah.
But that's really, if you're using these tools like you're mentioning, you really should be able to do that
Yeah,
on your own.
like the term experience kills the weakness. So like if you're constantly doing it, like for me, for example, like I can get in there and optimize a page in like 2 minutes, but it's gonna take, if you guys don't have experience doing it, it's gonna take time. It's also gonna save you money too. So if I can teach you things about SEO that's gonna save you time and money, great. A lot of companies do it because some people are just too busy and don't know how to do it. But yeah, realistically, you can go in there and do it yourself. These tools are great. I mean, if anybody has a website and it's not optimized, you're really kind of hurting yourself because there's free tools out there that'll literally tell you what you need to do to make those corrections.
So the box you said not to check while you're in development and it's not live yet.
Yeah, so like let's say you're in the process of building a site. Like I'm in the process of building like 3 sites for clients right now. Every one of those WordPress platforms I'm building has this box clicked because I don't want, even though it's not completely live, it's still linked to like a hosting service domain. I don't want Google to go through there and start indexing my site before it's even ready to be indexed. Because what's gonna happen is it's gonna either, it takes time to be indexed for one, and two, if you get indexed too soon, you start with a lower ranking and then you've gotta build up from that. So you wanna wait until you're completely ready to get indexed.
And that's the last box, to discourage search engines from.
Yeah. So like I said, click it if you're not ready. If you have everything ready to go, unclick it. And there's even tools like Rank Math, for example. If you go through, like if you go into your WordPress, the back end of it, you go to pages and you have Rank Math installed, for example, it'll allow you to force index. Sometimes it still takes time. If you are creating numerous pages for SEO purposes, it could be useful because you can force Google to come in and index it. You don't have to wait 2 to 6 months to get indexed. So I kind of just briefly said this. How long does it take to get indexed and ranked by Google? It can take anywhere from 2 weeks to 6 months. So when you are ready, you want to make sure that everything is ready to go. You don't have any errors. You have optimized your website as best you can. After Google ranks you, you'll be in that spot. Make sure you keep posting blogs. You're making sure that content is optimized for that page. And then you get a ranking score. You can realistically, the way you can tell is once your site is live and you've gone through all the steps like I just showed you, unclicking the box of discouraging Google to not index, you've got all your SEO tools installed and ready to go. Once you've been indexed, you can search for that keyword that you're using on that page. So like for example, my keyword that I'm using on my homepage is digital marketing and web design. So if I go and search that in Google right now, I'm gonna come up because my site's been indexed. I may not come up first because there's other companies more relevant than me and that are bigger than me, but I still come up, and that's what I care about. So landing page SEO, is there anybody that has worked with or done any landing pages specifically to target searchers? No? So landing page SEO, essentially what we're doing here is, this is great for service-based industries, nonprofits, if you own like a solar company or a landscape company, or you're creating pages specifically targeting people in specific areas. So if you know, hey, somebody's searching for solar services or landscaping services in Corona, I can create a page that literally says landscaping in Corona, or turf in Corona, or solar repair in Corona, AC repair in Corona, or whatever else it is that you do. You can find phrases either through Google Trends or just with that industry knowledge that you have and create pages to target key searches. So if I'm, like I said, if I'm sitting behind my computer, I search, I live in Corona, I'm looking for an AC repair company, I type in AC repair Corona, I can literally create a page that has that same exact phrase, and that page is gonna come up first because I am matching that person's search. So realistically, you can make pages for every possible search in the areas you're looking for business. So it's kind of a cool tool. You're not paying for them on a monthly basis. Once you create these pages and optimize them, they're there for you and they're working. So we do a lot of landing page SEO build out for a real estate company. They do HOA management. They're in Riverside, so we created a page, Riverside HOA Management. You can see that when we search that term in Google, we're the first ones to come up. That means that everything that I've done for SEO, all the content I've included, all the optimization, I'm coming up before everybody else. I even come up before Yelp because we're so relevant. So, and people are searching for those services in those specific areas. So this is kind of an example. If you're creating pages, you can select specific keywords, you can phrases, cities, things like that. When it comes to the page itself, you want to make sure that you're including content that's relevant to that area. So once again, Google loves education, they love information. So if you put a little bit of information about the city, a little bit of information about your company, what you're doing in that city or why you're working in that city, as well as like a call to action. So you can put a form, you can put a button that links to a proposal or contact us. Most of the time, unfortunately, people aren't gonna read the content. They're coming there to find the service. They're either gonna call you or gonna fill out the form. It's one of the two. They're really not gonna read the information. The information is there for the optimization score with Google. So you can put it further down the page, leave your call to actions up top, and make sure that when they come to the page, they know exactly where they need to go. Make sure I didn't miss anything. Yeah, once again, remember, it's not a continuous fee paid. If you have companies that are charging you for SEO, unless they are creating new landing pages for you on a monthly basis, SEO should not be a charged monthly service. Once you get in there and you do SEO on a website, it is done. I've heard tons of clients have come to me and said, hey, this company's charging me SEO every month. Unless you've got like 100 pages and they haven't optimized all 100 pages in that month, then I would understand. But if you've got 5 pages, they're all optimized, and they're not creating new landing pages for you, then they should be paying them. If you are paying them for SEO, I would hope that they are creating new landing pages. You yourself as a business owner, maybe a marketing personnel with your business, can install those tools and look at the optimization scores on those pages. If they are not using a tool, it's very concerning. I sometimes don't because I've been doing this long enough, but for yourself, you can install the tool, look at the optimizations on all those pages. So you don't have to rely on these companies or a digital marketing company to tell you that they are optimized. You can go in there yourself and look. For you guys specifically on Squarespace or Wix platforms, typically the SEO tools are installed for themselves, like they're installed the platform. You can kind of get your score. You can go through the pages and they'll tell you what they're optimized at. So you guys can get lucky, but for everybody else on WordPress platforms or using Shopify, you've got to install that plugin yourself and go through and load it. So it's more of an integrity thing. If you are doing business with a company that's providing you these services, this is that information giving to you to make sure that they're doing what they're telling you that they're doing, right? So continue on with the SEO related to landing pages. Having related content on those pages is extremely important. So like I said, if you're creating landing pages in specific cities, you want to make sure that the content on that page is relevant to that. Having, like I said, history of that city, so on. The page setup itself, I kind of briefly ran over that. You want to make sure that your call to actions are a little bit higher on the page, or whether it be a contact form or a button. Written content down below, once again, they're not gonna really read the information on the page, they're there to fill out the form or call you, that's the goal. If they're not calling the form and or if they're not filling out the form or calling you, you need to reevaluate your content on the page and maybe mix it up a little bit. Page cloning, this is huge. So it is great to use a cloning plugin to create numerous landing pages. So like if I'm creating like, let's say I want to create pages for like Corona, Riverside, Temecula, Marietta, right? You don't have to necessarily start over with each page and go through and design every page. You can clone the page, you can replace the content, whether it be the picture, the written content. You just want to make sure that when you are cloning these pages that the written content is unique on every page. So if let's say you created a page in Corona and you're going to clone that page and use it for Temecula, for example, you don't want to use the same exact verbiage, it just has a different city name in there, right? You want to make sure that it's a completely new written paragraph, whether you're using an AI platform to create it for you, whether you're writing them yourself, the words cannot be the same. Google will recognize that and they will not rank you accordingly on that page. So once again, remember, if you are creating pages in different cities and you're cloning them, every content on that page has to be different. You have the layout ready to go because the page was cloned, but you want different written content, a new picture, different information about the city, things like that. And then remember that 60 to 70% of your traffic coming to your website is on a mobile device. But keep this in mind when you're designing your pages. You know, you want to make sure that, you know, you can only see so much in your phone. If I go to a website right now, and let's see here. Go to any website right now, you're gonna see that only so much of this content is displayed. So what is my first impression when I come to this page? Oh, it's a picture of a truck, that's cool. But when you're building landing pages, you wanna have some sort of call out, some sort of call to action so people can see right away what they need to do. If you're running a promotion, you're a solar guy, right?
Yes.
So if let's say you're running a solar promotion right now, you know, you're doing financing, 0% down, 0% APR. Put that on the landing page. Make people engage with it. They want to see what you're offering, what you have, why they should do business with you. So same with any of the other businesses in here. You know, if you're creating landing pages, make sure that it catches their attention. If you're, like I said, if you have an offer, a call to action, they're only going to see so much on that phone. You need to keep them there. I mean, everybody knows the attention span of people these days. You either catch them in the first couple seconds or they're gone. So, all right. All right, this is always a fun one. Local search. I know a lot of people get confused on that. They think that it has to be paid for. How many of you now, by a show of hands, have a Google Business Profile? Okay, seems like the majority of everyone does. So Google Business Profiles for local search as well as just for general information. If you do have one, this is what it looks like.
Oh, yes.
So it's an area for people to come and leave reviews, for you to put information in there about the hours that you're open for operation. I'm lucky enough to have 5 stars. Not everybody, I know everybody's kind of hit and miss with Google because some people don't want Google platform or a Google business profile because sometimes there's a poor experience that a customer may have and you don't want them to report it. Luckily now there's ways to report those or get them removed. But yes, if you do have one, this is what it's going to look like. Like once again, if you're not sure if you have one, if you're like, okay, I don't know if I do, I may, simply just search your business name in Google. If you do, your business will come up. If you don't, if you search it and it doesn't come up, you obviously don't have one. So, the benefits of having a Google Business Pro, once again, it's a great area for your customers to leave reviews. These are great to put on your website on a landing page like, hey, people that are coming to my site, hey, I'm great, people love me, I've got 5 stars. That's another great thing to put in the first portion of a website or a landing page. You know, it shows that you have a good reputation with the people you've done business with. Business hours and phone number, people want to know when you're open. You don't want them calling you at like 8 o'clock when you just get in bed or, 9, 10, whatever. Phone number, if you don't have a website or you don't have a website yet, but you're still looking to get business, have a phone number. Regardless, let's say you do have a website, you still want a phone number on there for them to contact you, of course. Local search. So where this local search applies is my distance from that business. So if you all were to pull out your phones right now and search for a chamber, a chamber of commerce, Corona is gonna be the first one that pops up because you are closest to that address, right? We're all sitting in the business. It realistically should be the first one that comes up unless they're running a sponsored ad. So if you're trying to get business locally, you wanna make sure that you have all the different cities and optimizations done on your Google business profile. So that way when somebody's sitting in a house, a mile down the street, you pop up first. It's easy business to grab and it's free. You don't have to do anything you don't have to pay for it. You literally just go to Google, and I'll go through some steps here shortly about how to create a business profile if you don't have one. But it's just a great tool to pick up local business. There's always people looking for something locally. If you have good reviews and you have a good reputation, a good website, people will call. They will contact you. So this is an example. I was sitting down the street from my house. So my business came up second. This business came up first because I was closer to this business than I was to mine. So it's extremely important. You want to this is a free tool for you to use. It is absolutely free. Okay, I don't know if you guys want to take a break or if you just want to keep going. I know it's like a lot of information. Is there any questions up until this point? Maybe something I touched on that I kind of flew through a little bit fast?
I'm just curious, if you have a website with like multiple pages and, does having more pages on your website, rank you higher if you have more SEO, basically, like?
It can. Those pages are gonna be linked to other things. You're gonna have internal links and outbound links typically that are gonna go to other things, so Google's gonna recognize that. It's those numerous pages that you're gonna have is gonna help you rank individually for those keywords that so like I said earlier, if you're making a page that's like, transportation in Corona and you have a bunch of pages, those are gonna rank you organically better. Google itself may not give your business a better score sometimes because you have a ton of pages. That's where that domain authority comes in. You wanna make sure that you've got backlinks linking to your website. That's gonna help that score overall. So not necessarily, but it can. It just really depends on like your content and how Google's feeling at that moment in time. I mean, Google's changing their algorithms and how they index and look at content so much that you really should be looking at their articles and keeping up with changes that they're making on a daily, weekly basis. Then you have one.
Yeah. Does Google update your score periodically?
So it'll go through and periodically index. It doesn't do it very often. That's why those blog posts are key, because it shows Google that there's new content on that page to go through and index. So you can leave a website there with absolutely no changes for months. Google may or may not, go through and re-index your site. But if you are posting new blog posts every month or every 2 weeks, Google's like, okay, hey, there's new content on this website. I need to go through and re-index it. So the answer is yes and no, depending on your behavior on that site.
So when you say landing page, like what exactly do you mean? Because I know like for QR, like if I scan a QR code, it takes me to like a very specific page that's not necessarily like their homepage, but it's like, oh, I landed on this page because it's like, a flyer for Corona, and then you land and say, oh, solar for Corona, and it's very tailored to whatever marketing thing they had, versus, okay, and then you can go back to their homepage. Is that kind of what you're
So it kind of relates to both, or it does relate to both. So you can have a landing page that maybe say you do have a marketing tool out there, whether it be like you're running an ad on a Google or Meta platform, and you want it to land on a specific page, or you have a marketing material where you scan a specific QR code that you've designed a specific page for, right? So it relates to both. Landing pages are, essentially what it is. It's a landing page. You're sending people there for specific content, whether, like I said, whether it's for that specific marketing tool you're using, or you're using that landing page to target organic searches. So like if you have an event, like if I wanted to create a page right now that was about marketing in a new age, that linked to my flyer that you guys saw, that had more information about this, it's a landing page. But if I wanted to create a page about marketing in Corona, it's also a landing page, but it's optimized specifically for that specific keyword search. So it relates to both. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. Any other questions or anything before I go on? Do we want to take a break? Are we good? Can we keep going? Okay, bro. Okay, so Google Business Profile setup, if you have, like I said, if you don't currently have a Google Business Profile, it's really simple. You just go to Google, type in Google Business Profile, and it'll put you through all the steps of creating one. Want to make sure that you're signing up with the correct email, one that you're going to have. I typically do not link it to what's called a connected email, or like a domain email. And the reason for that is if you forget to renew your domain, or you lose access to your domain and that expires, and you need to send like a code to that email, or you need to do a password reset, you may not be able to get back in there. So maybe use a personal Gmail account, or an email that you know is gonna be there regardless. That's just how I do it personally. I've had clients that have come to me that they're like, hey, I signed up with a Google Business Profile, or I signed up with this or that, and it was with an old email from a business domain I don't have anymore. So just keep that in mind. It's fairly simple. Beyond that, you're filling out basic business information, your address. If you have a remote business like myself, where I maybe don't have a specific office front all the time, you can hide your address so people don't see that if you want to operate specifically online, or by appointment. You set up an appointment at Starbucks, or you get like an executive suite somewhere. What else? Kind of the annoying part about Google Business Profile is the verification process. So there's a couple ways that they do it. And you may remember when you set yours up, or if you did or didn't, but you either go through a text verification where you put your phone number in, they send you a text, really simple, really easy, you're done. In other cases, they want you to take a video recording of your business to ensure that you are an actual business and you're operating in that address. In most cases, it shouldn't be an issue, but if you're going really extent to try and market in other states where we set up virtual PO or virtual mailboxes, and we try and create business profiles to get local business in that state, sometimes it can be a pain to go through that, but it will eventually work out.
And related to that, I purchased a business, Google, it's all set up, but changed the name, so it had to go through the verification process to show that, yes, I'm the owner, the name's changed, my whole little video, did it like 3 or 4 times, no response. So now I'm in this holding pattern, I've got multiple tickets out. I can do everything, but I need the correct name.
Yeah.
I don't wanna start all over with the Google page, so I've got somebody that's supposedly gonna help me do that, and it's had a lot to do with the SEOs and they're gonna be able to change it, but why can't I change it? Why do I
You
need to
really
hire
shouldn't need anybody
somebody?
else. Really, you should just be able to enter the information on Google Business Profile. Not to discourage you, but I've had cases where it's taken like a year, 2 years at max to get a response from Google. I had a case that I was working on with Facebook that happened in 2022 that I'm just now getting a response for. They're like, oh, okay, we'll release your post, you can post it now. I'm like, 2 years later, it's really not relevant anymore. So
Yeah, your Yelp's connected to that, address, everything's fine, but I want my correct name there. I don't wanna start all over because I have all my great reviews and the 5 stars and all of that.
well, you have my card, so if you have questions, or if you're working with somebody and they're not completely clarifying, you guys all have my cards. If you don't, you can get one from me. There's a ton laying around. If you guys do have questions or something, you wanna talk to me afterwards, that's fine. If you wanna call or email me about something you're dealing with, or you just want advice, like I said, I do consulting, I do auditing, so I can help. I'm, just point you in the right direction, or, I do this full time every day, so. Any questions on the Google Business Profile?
Adjacent question to hers, what if you don't have or remember the email? If like you signed up, or the business was signed up and then you acquired it, but you have everything set up, but you don't know the email it was signed up with?
So sometimes Google can be cool, and they have like, if you go to like, let's say for example, if you're signed out of the account but you search the business, sometimes they'll give an option in this portion right here that says like, make a recommendation, or I own this page, and it'll show the email that it'll contact in order to release that information. So you may be able to go in there and look and see what email it's going to. It may help you remember. If not, fortunately, you're gonna probably have to submit a ticket. So, and then Google's gonna want you to verify a bunch of information, and it can take a little bit of time.
Got it.
So,
They do respond though, I have like multiple tickets because I'm down that rabbit hole trying to get something done and no response.
usually they do. I haven't had cases where they don't. It just, sometimes it takes a while.
Like
like I said, I had one that.
They say 2 weeks, but then,
Yeah, Google, unfortunately, I mean, well, I would say unfortunately, Google is a very big company and they do have, you know, hundreds of thousands probably business profiles that they're working on, but, I have a contact at Google that I use, like, for my business, we're a Google partner, so if you still at a roadblock there, you can always reach out and we can see what we can do for you. Okay, moving on to Yelp. Does anybody in here have Yelp business profiles? How many of you like Yelp business profile? I don't see any hands. Yelps can be great. I guess it can be great. It's essentially the same as Google. It's just kind of their own search engine. If you don't have a Yelp, I don't feel like you're hurting yourself if you don't have one. It's great if you want to use the reviews on there to post on your website to just show that, hey, look, I have all these good reviews. Same process, go to Yelp, sign up, put in all your information. The difference is Google's like the world's largest search platform. Yelp is not, so you have to be on Yelp to search for businesses. Some people do that, some people don't. If I was you guys, I would put my time into Google, not Yelp. It's like I said, it's free to have, you can sign up, but I wouldn't invest a ton of time into it personally. You get a similar verification process, unfortunately. Depending on where your business is and what you do, they are gonna require a video or a text or some sort of email verification. Social media posting, this one's always fun because everybody has different opinions on this. I'm gonna give you mine. If you disagree, I wanna hear your opinion on it, please, if you are posting for your business. Myself, I take quality over quantity. A lot of people are like, hey, I need to post 3 times a day, or I need to post this or that. Realistically, you don't. If you're starting your business, I can see why that could be a good argument, but realistically, people do not want to see your business 3 times a day. They want to see other stuff in their feed. If you're just constantly posting things about your business, like, hey, we have a new promotion going on, and you post that 3 times in a day, if you have cool creative, great. If you're just posting it over and over again, people are gonna get annoyed and they're gonna unfollow you. Or they're not gonna engage, because I have seen this post so many times. When you're posting content, I post once a day myself, or once every other day, so 3 to 4 times a week. I also post on my story, so if somebody tags me in something, or if I repost what I'm posting on my actual page to my story, make sure that the content is quality content. So businesses are so saturated. I guarantee you, every business in here, that you have a competitor or numerous competitors that are doing the same thing as you. People really, realistically, do not care to see the services that you provide over and over again. They want to see something that can be either entertaining, educational, or some sort of sensory, or ASMR, whatever they call it. So you want people to be like, hey, like my apparel companies, okay? I try and post frequently them. We have somebody else that also posts. I try and keep them on a straight pattern because we have different plans for social media, but nobody is sitting there, hey, what t-shirt posts, or what t-shirt design did they post today? If you go to, like, for example, go to Red Bull's website, or go to Red Bull's Instagram page, you rarely see a picture or a video of an actual Red Bull can. It is always entertaining videos of people wearing their logo or design while they're doing something crazy. It is entertaining. Educational. I'm sure all of you have some sort of education or knowledge in your industry where you can create videos about your industry. People want to learn about that. This is why I'm teaching you all, because I'm sure you're all here because you want to learn about digital marketing. And sensory. So, there's cool stuff you can do with, like if you have a medical spa or a window cleaning service. People like watching people squeegee. I don't know why, but it's entertaining. Or it's not entertaining, but people enjoy it. Or I'm sure you have all been on your phone and watching cars drive over putty or bags of chips or glass. People enjoy that. So target your posts around stuff like that. Quality over quantity. If you're not, you need to be posting stuff that people are going to enjoy, and you're not just posting to post, okay? My next big thing with this is putting a face to your business. Once again, markets, or these businesses and industries, are so saturated with your types of businesses that people need to be able to connect with you or somebody in your business. I've had clients that have put a face to their business and they've done extremely well, and I've had others that don't and they're just getting by. You know, let me connect with somebody, let me see who this is, let me see them at a trade show or at the grocery store. Hey, I saw you on that video today, that was cool. People wanna connect, like that's what we're doing here, so. Does that make sense? Cool. Meta ads. Anybody have any experience doing meta ads in here? Show of hands. Okay, how many of you have experience doing Instagram boosted posts? Okay, what about Facebook specifically? Okay, what about Ads Manager? Does anybody mess with Ads Manager? A little bit? A little bit?
Is that Facebook?
Facebook, yeah.
So Ads Manager is like a platform that encompasses both. It's like a big, well, I'll show you.
It's all together.
Have you messed with this? A little bit? Okay. I enjoy, once again, these are opinions that I've created from doing business myself, what I've seen myself that works well, and you're gonna find others that may say differently, and that's totally fine. But this is what I feel has worked best for me and my clients over the years. For a social media platform like Meta, I feel that retailers typically perform better on Meta. So like for example, the janitorial business over here, if you're selling, you know, janitorial supplies that don't go over about $100, $150, and you're targeting specific areas or specific demographics or interests, you could probably do very well on there. For service-based businesses, it's not that you won't do well with it, it's just you have to present the content a little bit different. So, like for example, I'm gonna use the solar guy back. What was your name?
Steve.
Steve. So let's say Steve's like, hey, I wanna use Meta for some advertisement. He's not selling a product per se, or he may be selling solar panels, but nobody's gonna go to watch a video on Meta necessarily and say, hey, I'm gonna spend tens of thousands of dollars on solar. What we're doing with a service-based company is we're posting like brand awareness videos. So it could be a brief 30-second video, 30 to 45-second video that talks about your business and what you do, helps increase your following and your engagement on social media. It will eventually drive traffic to your website as you continue to post those 3 to 4 times a week. But we're using, for more service-based companies, we're using Meta as more brand awareness. There are companies out there that do lead campaigns and a bunch of other things out there, which we'll get into, but I specifically like Meta for retail items or products being sold, like t-shirts, apparel, or, like I said, brand awareness for either. Setup, unfortunately, can be very complex with Meta, especially if you don't have experience connecting your accounts together, understanding that you have to have a personal page to create a business portfolio, then you have to create an ads account and link everything together. It can be very confusing. You guys have questions? I can't deep dive in that because it'll take, honestly, the rest of our time. So if you have questions on that, let me know. I can help you through that. Same with installing your Metapixel. This is an extremely important part of the process where you're collecting data to reuse, whether it be for retail or for service-based companies. We'll jump into boosted posts here. I like boosted posts for brand awareness specifically if I'm trying to increase following on Instagram specifically because I'm posting on there 3 to 4 times a week. Once again, you want to make sure that you're using specific content, very attention-grabbing content that will, once again, our audiences have short attention spans. So we want to have a video that is very attention-grabbing and has a beginning, middle, and end. So at the end of the video, we want to give them a goal. Hey, follow us, come to our website, check out our promotions, whatever it is. We want to make sure that that cost per click is less than 30 cents. If you are running ads and they are over 30 cents, realistically, they should not be that high. I did one, for example, for the Chamber here. The Chamber was running a Taste of Corona event in June. We were using a paper or a flyer, a digital flyer, to pull in traffic to purchase tickets. We went from a paper or a digital flyer to a video, and our cost per result our cost per click went, I think, from 30 cents or 28 cents down to 8 cents. So I would always encourage too that you're using video content over digital or pictures for that. Also, if you're going to be running boosted posts, do not do it on a mobile phone unless you have an ads account created, because they're gonna charge you a service fee. So if you can log into Instagram and do it, or if you have an ads account set up or a payment account set up, make sure you do that, so that way you're not paying, you know, like 10 to 20% or whatever it is that Instagram or Apple charges you. They do the same thing on TikTok. You can avoid all that by going specifically to the desktop, you know, TikTok.com or Instagram.com. You can avoid those fees. So here we have the ads manager. You can kind of see this is actually a screenshot of a client's over the last, this was actually, what's today, the 6th? This is our purchases and results for the last 6 days. So we've done, I think they've done over almost $200,000, and we've only spent, I think, I can't remember what the total amount is, but we've had a lot of purchases if you can't see it. Here, we're gonna go into the campaign types with Meta. So if you're running ads specifically on Ads Manager, these are the different campaign types that you can set up. So you're gonna start with, remember that all of these are behavior based, okay? So whatever campaign that you're selecting is targeting a specific type of behavior. So if I'm selecting awareness campaign, I'm pushing my content out to those that we've collected data on, or Meta has, that will remember your video and go back and search for you maybe at a later time, or they engage in your video at a later time. They remember who you are, they see you later on. It's crazy kind of the amount of data that Meta collects. So same with traffic. Traffic, you're pushing out your content to somebody that's more likely to click on a link, but less likely to purchase. So if I'm selling a product, I don't necessarily want to use a traffic campaign, because their previous behavior, like for example, let's say I was viewing a campaign or an ad, right? I had previous behavior on clicking on a campaign, but I never purchased. I would fall under that traffic group. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to purchase at some point. I just haven't been presented with something that I want to purchase. So your traffic campaign, like I said, is specifically for those that will click on a link but may not purchase. It doesn't mean that they're not going to, it's just they have continuous behavior that they just click on a link. Moving on to leads, those are more likely to engage with lead forms or things that you create, whether it be via message. So if you're doing solar or landscaping, you want to create new leads, you can try that. I typically like the traffic campaigns a little bit better for that, especially if you're linking it to a landing page that has different offers and reviews. That's kind of where those landing pages come in. You can create a traffic campaign linking to that landing page with your, hey, we got a 0% down, 0% interest for 24 months, and I'm showing that all on that landing page. This is where that comes in. Sales lead, that kind of really would relate to our janitorial guy over here. He's selling soaps and degreasers and different things. You know, he can create a sales campaign that's targeting those specifically that have behavior that have purchased in the past. So remember, everything's behavior based. The one thing that we cannot calculate or we cannot specifically learn, we can collect data and we can assume, we don't always know customers' behavior or client behavior. You can collect data and say, hey, look, I have more engagement at this time, let's post it this time. Doesn't mean that they're gonna purchase or buy then. So everybody's like, a ton of people woke up this morning and really wanted an American flag shirt that that one of my clients was selling. I'm sure the recent events with politics had a hand in that. So you can never just assume that, you know, one day it's gonna be different than the other. To go back to this real quick, to our social media posting, I will touch on politics for a second. I'm not gonna touch on parties. I'm gonna touch on being neutral in the sense of politics when you're posting. One of the biggest things I recommend to clients is not posting political content. We are here to make money as a business. People will not, there's times where people will not do business with you because you're affiliating yourself with a specific party or views. So just try and be neutral. I'm not saying don't post it on a personal page, but if you have business clients on there or people that you want to do business with, remember everything's public, it can be found, it can be seen. So just be aware of that. I've dealt with it recently where I had a client that lost, they didn't consult me first. They don't necessarily have to, it's their business, but they lost 6,000 followers. So, you know, be aware of what you're posting, when you're posting it, and if it can be related to any sort of political party. Personally, I like creating my campaigns based off placement or by creative type. So, there's only two types of creative that I'm gonna run. I like the 1x1, which is your 1080 by 1080, or your story, or your 1080 by 1920. Those are the two dimensions that I typically only run ads in. Meta is very specific on this. If you don't have a good optimization score, somebody could outbid you specifically for that. So, kind of to go back here a little bit. And once we go through this meta section, I know we only have like 20 minutes left, I'll try and briefly run through a campaign if I have time. If not, you guys have my card and my information, I can maybe set up a Zoom call for like a quick consult for a campaign setup. But you're gonna have three categories that you're gonna run through. You're gonna have your campaign, your ad set, and your creative. So your original campaign tab is creating and selecting which type of campaign that you wanna go with, whether it be manual or Advantage Plus. There are benefits to both. I like manual campaigns because I go in there and I get dirty and I go through all the interests and retargeting features and all the data that I've collected, and I use all that. Advantage Plus kind of just does it for you. So if you don't have a ton of experience doing stuff and you want to keep your costs down, you don't have a lot of money to work with or waste, Advantage Plus could just be a good start for you to collect data and learn what you're doing. Under the ad set, you're going to set your budget, your locations, if you're doing it manually. So for service-based industries, you're only providing services in specific areas. So you're going to target those specific areas. For retail companies where, like my apparel brands that I can, ship products across the country or across the world, I have campaigns that are set up locally. I've got campaigns like I have a client that was selling a Dodger World Series shirt that wanted to sell it just in California. You can do different things like that. You can select zip codes and cities, and you can get really in depth with it, but you have to do that with a manual campaign. You can't do that with Advantage Plus. You can set age and gender. You can set age. There's two genders in Facebook: male, female. Depending on what you're doing, like I ran a campaign for a medical spa the other day that does facials and different medical spa things, right? I found that running a female-oriented campaign, ages 18 to 50, got us our best results. We have data that shows females on their phone at these specific times, whether at home with the kids, whether they're at work, taking a break, whatever it may be. They engage more, they get more interest that way. Unfortunately, they don't have a ton of males that are involved. So you can set all that. You can also set, if you're running a manual campaign, you can set audience retargeting lookalike, so you can retarget or create lookalike audiences based off your current Instagram following, off website data, that you have already collected, which is kind of cool. That's why we want to set up everything properly with, when we're doing our website, when we're creating our landing pages, our SEO. All of this has a later on, like a down the road effect. So when I touch on making sure that the website's optimized correctly, that it has the current information, we want all that, because down the road, hey, we're gonna be marketing. We need to make sure that when we are marketing, spending money, that everything is set up and where it needs to be. Because if you just try and say, hey, I don't have this stuff set up, but I'm gonna go and spend money on ads anyway, you're gonna be spending and wasting money. Everything needs to be set up and set up properly. So you're collecting data, you can use that to retarget, I'm gonna probably touch on apparel brands a lot with this, just because that's what I use Meta a lot for, is that retail product sales. But we're collecting data right now on clients or customers. We're offering bigger promotion codes because we want them to engage with our business, and then we can use that come Black Friday. I can create a campaign that's 40% off and retarget all of those people that just engage with my business. The simple fact that I had a bigger discount code, and because I had my website set up properly. So I collected a ton of data. I've got millions and millions of people that have clicked on and engaged with my business that I can use to retarget at a later time, whether it be for a new product you're selling or for a new promotion you've got going on. So, any questions on that? Okay. So your ad creative, I personally love using video content for this. Remember, I like setting my campaigns out by ratio size. So if we go back and look at here, you can see that I have a campaign running in a 9:16 ratio, I've got 1:1. So what it means is I've separated these placements. So I've got a placement every time it posts or it goes out to a client or a customer, it's only showing them that 9:16 ratio, which is your 1080x1920. So it's gonna be like your Instagram posts or your Instagram story posts, things like that. It's that longer one. The reason for that is because I'm specifically targeting customers that are maybe viewing Instagram posts, or they're on their phone watching their friend's stories and it'll pop up in there in between. The 1:1s are gonna be like your Instagram posts when they're scrolling. I wanna have available funds for either one. Not everyone can look through a story and go through a feed at the same time. The other point to that is there's less cannibalization, so I'm not fighting over one or the other when the time comes. I have resources available for both. Does that make sense? So I don't, like, let's say I was running the campaign together where I was running a 1:1 and a 9:16 ratio at the same time. There's customers that are viewing both. Okay, well, I've got to decide with my budget if it's going to go to the person 9:16 or if it's going to go to the person 1:1. Okay, I separate them so that I have assets available for both. And I've seen a much better cost per result with that. Back to the creative. Remember, you're selecting your creative based off the campaign you're running. So like for me, if I'm running a 9:16 or 1080x1920, I'm gonna import content that is that size. Whether you're running a carousel ad, whether you're just running a picture or video, it needs to be the dimension that Facebook requires. If it's not, it's gonna get cut off and it's gonna look funny. I see clients all the time that are not running content that's optimized and it looks funny and it doesn't perform well. You can also add or remove creative optimizations. So that could be like filters or overlays or 3D animation, music. You can add a ton of stuff. I keep it very basic and minimal for the fact that people are simple usually. They don't need a bunch of extra stuff. I've tested both. I found that the less optimizations that I use, the better cost per result I have. The other thing in there that you want to make sure that is turned off that I didn't include in here, and I'm sorry, is to make sure that you unclick the box that says multi-advertisement. What that is it'll combine numerous sponsored ads together. So like if I'm looking at a one landscape company, a solar company might pop up right after that. I don't want to do that for the fact that if somebody is gonna scroll up and look at something, they're gonna go to that person's website and they may come back for a brief second, it shows your ad and it's gone. So you wanna make sure it's separated, you don't wanna be behind somebody else. TikTok ads are very similar to Meta. They have some similar features. I would compare TikTok ads more to your boosted posts. They have some features, but I don't feel like they're as in depth, and you can't really get into them as well as you can like on our ads manager. Still good for both retail and service-based. Once again, for service-based companies, you're really just gonna be running campaigns for more brand awareness videos. You're not, that's really about it. You wouldn't create a sales campaign for a service company. You just run a brand awareness, get people engaged and involved, whether they engage with you right then and there, or they see a new promotion you have come out in a week or two, then they may engage. You just want to increase engagement. Setup's way less complex than Ads Manager. It's fairly simple. You get in there and it's just step by step. They ask you what kind of campaign you want to create, and it's all similar to Meta based off behavior. Okay, who's got experience doing Google Ads? Anybody? A little bit? Okay. So this is fun for you guys because this is where it comes in most handy for service-based businesses is your Google Ads. It still works for e-com brands, like janitorial supplies if people are searching for them. The nice thing about Google is you're paying per click, whereas Meta, you're paying per impression. So realistically, if you're running Google Ads, you're only paying when somebody clicks on your campaign. You're not paying when somebody just sees it in the search bar. So I have a client that sells like $3,000 leather machines. We had tested running those campaigns on Meta. We had a couple sales, but the sales really increased once we started doing using Google, because Google, if you're spending $3,000 on something, you're not just gonna out of a whim when you're laying in bed spend $3,000 on a leather machine unless you've got deep pockets, which not everybody does. So using Google, Google has a little bit more credibility in the sense that they can do a little bit more research. You know, if they go and search leather machine, they'll be able to see, hey, look, these are all the other leather machines. You want to be competitive in there. When you are running Google Ads, I would recommend running at least at least 3 offers. So if you're doing landscaping, for example, you know, offer that 0% down, 0% APR. Offer you know, an upgrade to a nicer synthetic grass, or a free cleaning. If you have an auto repair company, maybe offer, you know, a discounted oil change, or, you know, a free battery diagnostic to see if your battery's doing bad. So we want to have these offers because you're going to be competitive and competing with other businesses. If they see that you're running an ad and you have an offer that may be better than another business, they're going to take advantage of that. It's going to drive that initial business and the reoccurring business. So initially, that business you're going to capture because you run that promotion. Once they meet with you and they see how great you are and the services you provide, they're just going to keep coming back for more. Okay. Creative is also needed for it. You want to make sure that you have some sort of like offer set up with, you know, whatever your offer is set up on a, you know, on a digital flyer. Depending on the campaign type that you're running, which we'll go through, it depends. You may not be able to run a video with that, maybe just a static picture. So there's different campaign types. Like I said, this is really important for you guys, service-based companies. You're gonna have your search-based campaigns, performance max, display, demand gen, and shopping. So your search campaigns is gonna be related to our SEO, so we'll go back to that now. Your SEO relates to these search ads that you're gonna be running. Google is gonna give you a better optimization score and a better cost per click if your landing page has relevant content to your Google ad. So if I'm running an ad that's, you know, landscaping services in Corona, and I have a campaign that's related to that, and I'm running it in Corona, Google's gonna say, okay, this landing page has relevant content, so I'm gonna give them a better optimization score, which you're gonna be able to beat out competitors with, and 2, I'm gonna give them a better cost per click. So search is just a very general campaign. Mostly anyone can do it. When it comes to search, you just have to get very strategic with keyword planning. Use resources like Google Trends that'll show you what people are searching for. And the reason why I say be strategic with keyword planning, because if you're using common phrases and words that other companies are using, your cost per click is going to be higher because you're fighting over that same word. So if you can find another way to still target those people and not spend that high cost per click, do it. In some cases you may not be able to, but you know, do the best you can. If you're running numerous campaigns, make sure that you're not using the same keywords in every campaign. What ends up happening is it's considered cannibalization. Your campaigns are working against each other. So if I'm running a landscaping campaign, you know, landscaping repair for one city, and then I create a campaign for a different city that also has landscape repair in it, I'm fighting over myself. You don't want to do that. Make sure that when you're building out these campaigns, that they're all separate, they have their own specific keywords set up for that campaign. Your Performance Max is gonna kind of be like your Advantage Plus campaign on Meta. It kind of just does stuff for you. You don't really have to do too much of the added work. You still have to go through the steps of adding the written content, the call to actions, and this is where it allows you to add like videos and different things, pictures. That'll be displayed on Google's assets like YouTube. If you ever go onto other company sites, sometimes Google Ads display in there because Google buys space on there. So Performance Max uses every bit of Google's assets to push your content out to people. Display Gen, I typically use this campaign for retargeting. So when you're setting up your campaigns, you're gonna set up what's called conversion tracking. So typically it'll be like a thank you page after they completed a form. So once they fill that out, it considers it as a conversion, and then you can collect all that data from those people to retarget them later on. So that demand gen is like a video or some sort of like display campaign that you can push back to these people, whether they didn't fully commit to business that time, or maybe you're running a new promotion for something else later on, or just fresh new content. You can use that data to push new fresh content. Shopping campaign, once again, this only applies to our e-com brands. You can set up like a Google merchant account where you can upload all your products. You can have a shopping campaign that shows all your products for sale when if they search for like a degreaser or whatever it may be. Here's a kind of an example of what it's gonna look like when you come in here and select your campaign. Above this, it's gonna say your goals. I typically set continue without goals. And then, depending on the campaign that you wanna build, if you just wanna start from the very minimal, just start with a search campaign, do your research on keyword planning, and create the campaign so that way you're not diving in too much too fast. Look and see how it's doing, adjust accordingly. What else? One of the other biggest things that I see my clients or clients that have come to me do is running how would you put this? They're running too much money, or they have too much of a budget available on their own name. So, and what I mean by that is, there's companies out there that, or some marketing agencies that'll run, or even in-house marketing employees, that'll run campaigns for the business name itself. So like, for myself, Alpha 7 Marketing, I'm really not gonna run too much of a budget on my name itself, because, people are, if they're gonna search for me and I'm gonna pop up, my organic search is already gonna be there. There's no sense in paying for them to click on your ad when they're already searching for you. So you wanna run a very minimal amount, and that minimal amount is to beat out competitors that may be using your business name against you, just so you pop up. But very small amount, maybe like $5 a day, if that. Conversion tracking, I went over that a second ago. This is huge with Google Ads because you're able to collect data, whether it be through Google Analytics or your Google Tag Manager. Like I said, this allows you to use Google's ads to retarget at a later time. So typically conversion tracking is set up so, like, let's say we create a landing page that has a form on it, that once you click OK on that form, it takes you to a thank you page. That means they filled out the form and they've engaged with my business. You would set up your conversion tracking to that thank you page, and anybody that's come to that page, one, it will report to Google, and two, you'll collect that data to then retarget them at a later time. Once again, avoid cannibalization. You don't want to continuously use the same keywords in multiple campaigns, as they'll just be working against itself. Strong callouts, those are, request a quote, get a free whatever, 0% down, 0% APR. Push those promotions in those call to actions so people know, hey, this is a cool deal, and they'll click on it. Once again, the landing pages that you're doing, they should already be optimized. If you're at this point, you've already gone through your SEO. Remember that you're with a better SEO, your optimization score on that landing page, Google is going to reward you for that. They're going to give you a better cost per click, and they're going to you're going to be able to beat out competitors because your content is more optimized than theirs. I think that's about it. Any questions? I know I was trying to get as much information in there for you guys as I could. I do apologize if I kind of ran through some of that quick. Is there any questions at all? Maybe something that I didn't touch on enough, or maybe it was confusing at all? Did most of it make sense? Yeah. There's a much deeper way to get into this. If you guys are interested, maybe the chamber and I can do like a more in-depth or advanced class into some more campaign setup and more in-depth on SEO optimization if you guys want, maybe next year. So, yeah, that's about it. No questions? No? Okay. Thank you guys all for coming. I appreciate it. Once again, you guys, my business cards are on the table. If you guys have questions or confused on something, you guys can reach out, email, text, call, something like that.
Thanks, Maxwell.
Thank you.